Alright, so the third Sonic movie just came out in Brazil on the 25th. Don't ask me why they delayed it for 5 days over here. It was stupid, especially since the 25th is Christmas Day, so a lot of movie theaters were not open that day, so I could only watch it almost a week after all of you gringos out there. But still, I watched it, and I really wanted to talk about it, so here we are. Let's do our conclusion on all this build-up we've made for the movie over these past few months with my reactions and whatnot that you can watch on the channel right now. Just a few warnings before we start. This video is going to be a bit simpler than our usual conversation discussion type videos like this because, one, the movie came out late, so I'm already kind of late on talking about it, and I want to get my thoughts out there as soon as possible and just get this out and get my gut reactions. And two, the movie is still pretty new, so there's no footage going around, like high quality footage I can use of the movie for the editing, for the background, B-roll for this video, so don't expect very fancy editing. There's just not enough footage to use for that, so yeah, this is probably just gonna be me talking for a bit. I'm gonna cut out a few of the silences, a few of the filler words, but it's still like I don't expect too much like visual stuff going on the screen as I talk. And also another thing, this is gonna be a spoiler discussion. I'm gonna tear the movie apart and talk about everything I loved about it and everything I maybe didn't like about it so much. So yeah, definitely big, huge, insane spoiler warning. I'm saying this because I was one of the people who, again, had to wait 6 days till I could watch the movie on the 26th after everyone else already did, so I know how hard it can be to avoid spoilers. That said, oh my god, 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 this fucking movie is insane. This movie is the coolest crap ever invented by mankind. This is right up there with John Wick, the Michael Bay Transformers movies, and Die Hard as one of the coolest movies ever created for theaters, for people to watch. The action scenes are so well made, they feel straight out of something like Dragon Ball Z or like an anime or anything like that. But no, this is like a big budget Hollywood movie. It just doesn't feel like it connects, but I'm so glad that's the case. It's such a cool movie. Even the CGI this time around is like uncannily good looking. I mentioned the Michael Bay Transformers movies, and there's kind of a joke going around about those, how like uncannily realistic the Transformers look in those. This is kind of on that level. It's definitely like a big noticeable upgrade from the second movie. And also the Knuckles show especially. These characters look real. Like, yeah, of course, it's CGI, but the lighting is so good. The details on their hair and fur and stuff is really, really nice looking. It's legitimately like wallpaper-worthy stuff, which is why a poster for the movie is actually my new wallpaper for my lock screen on my phone. And overall, just in general, the movie is definitely like a huge upgrade from movie 1 and movie 2. We've been seeing sort of this steady evolution in understanding of like what Sonic is and what makes it so good from the people like behind the movies as each movie comes out. Whereas the first movie was like almost a disaster. Like if they had released it with like the ugly Sonic design that they had for the first trailer, like that wouldn't have been a good movie. The good animation and the fact that it was just mostly kind of an inoffensive family movie kind of saved it, but it was really closer to, you know, like the early 2010 Smurfs movies, the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies, you know, like take old nostalgic character, put him in the real world with famous white actor, and let hijinks ensue. That was movie 1. Movie 2 was already, you know, like closer to what we would expect from something Sonic related. We got more Sonic characters, we got a little bit more action, some of the lore. And now I can say like for sure, like straight up, Sonic movie 3 is just a Sonic movie, like period. This is an adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2. 100% just, yeah, this is a Sonic movie that I as a Sonic fan enjoy for being Sonic. Not in spite of everything about it besides that, but because of everything about it. Like even the human characters, I feel like they've been slowly phasing out of the movies and actually figured out a few like really clever ways to basically keep most of the main actors in the story without breaking the pace too much, with the whole like hologram thing the main couple used there where they transformed into the other people from the second movie. And Wade from the Knuckles show, it was nice seeing him again, I'll say. Like, yeah, you know, Knuckles show was a bit of a mixed thing, you know, some people love it, some people hate it. I made a video on it. I thought it was mostly alright, if a bit exhausting and very much not what we actually wanted from a Knuckles show. But if you stop and think about it, considering the runtime of that, most of us, like, if we only watch the movies once or twice, like, We spent more time watching that show than we did watching the previous Sonic movies. And in that sense, I feel like I got attached to Wade and Knuckles' relationship as a concept, as like a development thing. So it was nice seeing a little bit of a payoff for that in the movie where Wade is there and he's protecting the Master Emerald. It was a fun little nod. Despite everything, it was actually super fun seeing him again. It's really now closer to a Marvel superhero film. That's also, you know, an adaptation of something else. You know, Marvel is an adaptation of comics. This is an adaptation of the Sonic video games, and you can feel that. This is to the Sonic games what the MCU was for the Marvel comics. There's tons of cool little references for the games as well. Even if the story isn't quite one-to-one, you can definitely trace that through line that is basically just Sonic Adventure 2 story, just adapted to be a little bit more understandable for a wider audience and taking out a few of the necessary bits so it can fit properly in a movie, but still like very much recognizing like, yeah, a lot of us are fans that are watching this. We want to see our favorite moments. We want to see our favorite lines. And I actually I feel like I might have even missed a few of those because, of course, being in Brazil, I had to watch the movie dubbed. So that means that some of the lines that, you know, were taken from previous games and whatnot, like I had to like translate them in my head because the games are not in Portuguese. Now they've started subtitling them, but still, Sonic games are not in Portuguese. So naturally, like the lines I'm familiar with are in English. So seeing the actual adaptation team having to translate those was actually pretty interesting. When I heard the low budget flights line in particular, I was like, ooh, okay, they did a good job translating that one. Because of that, yeah, I can't actually comment too much on the quality of the voice acting. I didn't hear Keanu Reeves in the movie itself. I didn't hear Ben Schwartz or Idris Elba. Though, like, I'm familiar with their work in the previous movies, and I know they've been doing pretty good work on those. I just wasn't able to hear Keanu Reeves specifically, but I assume he did well. Like, he wasn't super great in the DLC for Shadow Generations, but it seems to be exclusive to that. People seem to be praising his work in the movie itself, and I'm gonna watch it in English whenever I do have the chance to. But as far as like the physical acting goes, you know, like the expressions from, you know, folks like Jim Carrey and whatnot, the human characters, I feel like that was really, really surprisingly good. Like, specifically Jim Carrey. I feel like, at least I tend to forget that he's actually like a genuine actor with background and doing like lots of different movies and not just a living cartoon character. We're so used to seeing Jim Carrey just doing the goofy comedy routine he always does with the mask and, you know, the wrench and whatnot. So I was actually surprised seeing how genuine his delivery and like, you know, acting was for this movie. His goofy stuff was pretty much great too, like maybe a little bit tone clashing by the end. I know that's what everyone's been saying, but as far as like the comedy bits themselves in isolation, I feel like they were fun as always. I feel like maybe he was still like the funniest in movie one, but this is pretty close. And I'm actually like not sure how the fuck did they do two Jim Carreys at the same time, like interacting and moving. I don't know movie magic stuff too well. Was that like some deep fake stuff? How did they do that? Like, I know like green screens exist, but just like they were interacting and dancing with each other at one point. How did they do that? But yeah, the more genuine bits, like Jim Carrey's face as Gerald when Maria died in the flashback scene, like that, the dude was crying. You could see the trauma in his face, like as it was happening. Eggman's sacrifice at the end of the movie was pretty great too. His speech to Agent Stone gave me like the feels and stuff. Agent Stone as well, like, is also always great as a character. I feel like from movie one to now, like, everybody just loves Agent Stone. I think, like, that's the one thing people want from the movies back into the games. And so, you know, Agent Stone is basically Dr. Starline from the Sonic comics if he wasn't a dumbass. And because of that, instead of being a tragic figure, he's actually just a really funny one. And speaking of that sacrifice, like, I genuinely, people have been, like, sort of on the fence, thinking, oh, is he gonna come back? Is he not gonna come back? I'm betting that he's not gonna come back, actually. I don't think he is. The way that scene was written felt too freaking conclusive of his character. Like him doing the callback to the original movie and how he acted on that. And how he kind of got like this complete character arc. I don't feel he's coming back. I know it's kind of weird to imagine Sonic without Eggman. But especially if you look from like the actor's standpoint, like Jim Carrey never does sequels. Jim Carrey barely ever does sequels. They got him back twice. That's already kind of insane. Bro was thinking about retiring Like, literally last year he was talking like, unless they give me a script like written by God's hand itself, I'm not coming back. And he came back because the script was hidden by God hand itself. Like, Jim Carrey admits it indirectly, but he admits it. But I feel like that was just the easiest way to write Jim Carrey out of the movies and finish off the contract. Because I don't feel Paramount can keep paying this actor out of retirement anymore. What I can maybe imagine them doing is maybe taking a note from the Archie comics and playing the Robo Robotnik card. For those not aware, in the Archie Sonic comic, Eggman does die, like legitimately not coming back, dies at one point. But a while later, he does sort of, in quotations, come back as this alternate dimension Robotnik who can like switch bodies and stuff. And it's a whole thing, and he's basically like a robot. So I could see maybe them doing something akin to that, maybe as a little nod to the Archie comics, if they are even allowed to do that nowadays. And maybe bring in a different actor or use CGI or something to bring back Robotnik in like movie 5 or something. But now, considering the post-credit scene we saw, the spotlight seems to be on Metal Sonic for the next movie, and I can't wait to see that. I'm actually betting that probably, like, people have been speculating, okay, so if Eggman's dad who built Metal Sonic, why is he here? Why is he fighting Sonic? I'm betting on the kill switch theory. I think probably Eggman built this army sometime between movie 2 and movie 3 as a fail-safe plan if he ever died, as a way to take down Sonic. I feel like that could be a possibility. Like, if I ever die, these robots are gonna come to life and just attack Sonic. I feel like that could be an interesting way to still tie Eggman back into it and keep Metal's origin somewhat similar to the games, but we'll see. I feel like generally, like, the way to go if they really don't bring Eggman back is to just focus on the different villains Sonic has had in the past besides Eggman. I know the 2000 Sonic games are contentious in terms of story and whatnot, but one thing like that they can really pull from is this extended rogues gallery. You know, maybe we can see, I mean, we already saw Iblis, but maybe we can see Mephiles and Solaris or Razor Jin. They really want to pull that card. Dark and Light Guy, Chaos, just different sorts of villains from different Sonic games, even if they want to pull it from IDW. Heck, that would be a crazy pull. I don't feel like they're going to do that, and I don't even know if that would be a good idea. What if Agent Stone eventually just takes on the identity of Dr. Starline? They turn him into a loose adaptation of Starline, as in that becomes sort of a pseudonym and starts working as himself, and like that becomes sort of a little reference to the comics. I don't see them doing that, but it's a possibility. They could bring villains from the comics either way. I feel like that could be interesting. But yeah, that post-credit scene, Amy! Literally, like that was the one moment, the theater room I was in, everyone cheered. It was genuinely like rock show level stuff. That was genuinely magical. I felt like I was watching a Smash trailer live. Remember when like Smash characters were being announced for Ultimate and they were doing like trailer reveals live on the Nintendo store, and we got to see like those crowd reactions? It felt like that, and it was so freaking awesome. It was probably like the craziest moment in the movie for me, and it kind of almost feels, I want to say it kind of feels almost fan-made, but like in the best way possible. You know, like back in the early 2010s where people used to make those concept trailers for video game adaptations in like CGI. We saw that Majora's Mask trailer. There was even like this old ass Sonic movie concept trailer as well. Just different like CGI concept trailers for video game adaptations. Like that was a trend a while back. I remember that, and this kind of feels like that, but like in the coolest way, because it's just so game accurate. It's so cool. It doesn't feel like it's came out of Hollywood at all. It feels like it came out of a Sonic fan's head. I can't be the only one who thought of Spark the Electric Jester 2 when I saw the Metal Sonic army there for the first time. That stuff just looks perfectly game accurate. Just, you know, the textures look more realistic and a little bit more gritty, which I definitely do enjoy, but the design is just perfect Metal Sonic, just as I hoped. And Amy herself, if she's a little bit different, but she looks amazing. She looks so cool. Of course, her face is like really, really cute. People have been talking about that. She like warms my heart. She looks perfect. But even like her intro, just her coming in, like the moon shatter background there, and just coming in with a hammer and saving Sonic. That was so dope. It was really awesome. It was really nicely directed action scene. Again, it feels like something out of a fan-made project just for how cool and unique it is. Cute girls coming in with badass cloaks and taking down enemies should become a trope going forward. I'm gonna go ahead and say that much. That was so freaking cool. Just the idea by itself was really awesome. I'm really excited to see Amy's dynamic with Sonic specifically in the next movie. I wonder how they're gonna do that. I don't know if they're gonna go for a more traditional sort of perspective where, you know, maybe they replicate her early dynamic with Sonic where she's really into Sonic and like Sonic doesn't really care about her. I don't really see them doing that in this day and age, like especially in the movie scene. Like that could be a little looked down upon. You saw how the Mario movie did. Honestly, I'm hoping they just don't pull back too much. I actually didn't like what they did with Peach in the Mario movie too much, specifically because it felt like it wasn't even the same character anymore. They just made her a generic badass. I still want Amy to be Amy, and a part of me wants the sort of will they won't they dynamic because that just feels so intrinsic to her character. I'm sort of fine with them doing away with it somewhat in the games currently because there's enough baggage and enough hints here and there where it's still like a thing, it's just more subdued. I don't want the movies to skip over that. Maybe make it a little bit more acceptable socially, dial it back a notch, but still, you know, keep it in there, you know, just because it feels so essential to her character. Maybe even like Ben Schwartz Sonic is a Sonic that's not at all as confident and sort of like, I don't want to say selfish, but you know, game Sonic is more of a loner. He spends time by himself. There's a reason why he doesn't care about ever really being in a relationship with Amy, or at least doesn't express it. That's because Sonic is just not that kind of guy in the games. But you know what? I don't know if Ben Schwartz Sonic would be this kind of guy. I don't know if movie Sonic would be this kind of guy. He likes friends. He likes company. He's a little bit insecure. You know, we saw that in the previous stuff. He's just basically just a more insecure version of Sonic. I talked about that in the Versions of Sonic video. You can watch it right over in the card, like there, I believe, like there, I think that direction. But yeah, I would too enjoy if maybe they did a switcheroo where Sonic is the one who has a little crush on her. That would be really good. I feel like the best idea they could go for is just, yeah, keep the dynamic there, but maybe make it a little bit more puppy love. Maybe even if it's like mutual, that would be pretty cute. Just, I hope they don't go overboard with that either. I don't want to see like on your face romance in a Sonic movie. Just nah, I don't feel like that fits too well, but make it cute. Make it sort of like a hinted thing where it's sort of like implied, and I feel like there's a lot of potential in that. I just hope they do it the right way. But yeah, speaking of that post credits though, yeah, the moon is shattered, y'all! They actually did it! Eggman, he pissed on the moon. Yeah, jokes aside, but it was a little bit different in the movie, which, you know, makes sense. The whole threat to take over the world doesn't really exist in the movie story that they laid out there. Still cool that they did the moon shattering either way, just because it's such an iconic thing. And you know, that just means that the moon is permanently fucked up in the movie universe. And like, just for heightening that fantasy level, just for making it feel more Sonic, I'd love to see it. You know, just again, what we talked about earlier, how the movies slowly transition from a more grounded sort of like family movie thing with famous white actor into what's slowly becoming more of, you know, this continuous universe that's adapting the game characters and concepts, having this like different constant thing in the universe. The moon is destroyed, which is a very like fantasy-esque element, is a very Sonic element, because that's a thing that also happened in the games, and I feel like they're also gonna carry on with the Shattered Moon going forward, considering Shadow Generations. I'm hoping this is here to stay. Just the moon is destroying the Sonic movie universe. Like, that's a thing now. It's so freaking cool. That whole climax actually was just so freaking cool. Again, the amazing action choreography. Like, so well done. Just perfect. No notes. The emotions as well. A Shadow Soul arc with Maria, I feel like that was done perfectly. And a conversation with Sonic at the end there, where he remembers what she said about the stars going out, like, so good. The emotions were perfect. And then when they team up, and there's like the dap up of power, like, come on, that needs to be a meme. I want, once clean footage of that comes out, I want to see me and bro memes, and it's just freaking Sonic and Shadow dapping up into super form. It's so awesome. Eggman versus Eggman there, you know, Ivo versus Gerald, that kind of came in the middle there during like the Supersonic and Super Shadow sequence. Everyone's been talking about it, how it's kind of like a little bit of a pace breaker. I personally don't think it was that bad. A bit goofy, sure, maybe like it broke that immersion, that hype, but you know, Jim Carrey is still fun. It didn't feel super offensive to me. What really broke me about that moment was really that I just wish that they gave Live and Learn more time to breathe. Because the song is there, and we kind of expected the song to be there from the start. You know, we saw in the trailers, it was sort of like half confirmed by the staff in Crush 40 that the song was going to be in the movie in some way. And like it really needed to for Supersonic and Super Shadow, like come on, it had to be there. But it still felt like it was a little bit, you know, like they kind of almost avoided it. The song was there, and I'm glad they included a lot of Sonic songs throughout the movie. Hearing Eggman from like Robotnik's like ringtone, that was a really nice touch. A lot of really cool light motifs as well. The Eggman theme was there too, like dun dun da 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 dun dun. That was really cool to notice. And a lot of stuff like that was really cool to see. But Live and Learn stuff, like they really didn't keep a lot of the lyrics. It was just like the Live and Learn part, and then a lot of just like instrumental, like an epic instrumental version of Live and Learn. And I just wish like they just let the song play, let the guitars go off and stuff, because that feels more appropriate for the action scene they're going for. It just feels more Sonic. It gives more attention to the, you know, the lead song for this. They had these extended sequences where they played licensed songs, and like they got no problem with those. I don't know why they had such a specific problem with Live and Learn. Just let it play, man. Let Johnny Joeli just go off. I kept singing along to the lyrics, and it was kind of frustrating that the movie wasn't singing back. It was just the orchestral version. That said, I do feel they did a great job in terms of like the music selection for this movie as far as like the licensed stuff goes, because maybe just because I enjoy lots of different music now compared to when I watched especially movie 1, but kind of movie 2 as well. But like, I noticed quite a few songs that I enjoy there, and songs that in my opinion fit Sonic really, really well. We got 99 Red Balloons, which is a banger. We got Galvanize, which is also a really, really good song. I don't know, these songs feel more Sonic to me than the pop songs we had in the previous movies. It just works better. Speaking of little complaints and nitpicks that I have, I do kind of not really like the pacing for the movie too much. I don't know if it's really just a me thing, because, you know, I was already waiting almost a week to watch it after everyone else online already did. So I was like super anxious to get into it. And of course, I also like dissected the trailers bit by bit for the channel and for my analysis videos and stuff. So I was already very familiar with what I've seen from the movie, but it really felt like, yeah, the movie started fast. It wasn't like super slow or anything, but it still felt like we were working through a lot of stuff I already knew before we got into the meaty, like cool new stuff that I was actually really excited to see. I don't know if that's the trailer's fault for showing too much, if it's my fault, if it was my anxiety, but I kept like just tapping my foot watching the movie, just expecting something to happen that would blow me away. And eventually it did, you know, like eventually I was super hyped and I was enjoyed it and I loved the movie. But it felt like for a bit there, it was just sort of like, come on, stuff, happen, yeah, I know, Shadow's gonna wake and yada yada. Even like that bit early on where they first reveal Shadow's backstory, and they kind of skip over the army corruption thing. And for a second there, I was actually kind of frustrated because I felt like they were actually gonna skip that part, which I felt was really important to solidify Shadow's character. Turns out that was just intentional because Gunn wasn't going to admit it was kind of their fault, or I guess the government's fault for Maria's death and stuff. But when I first saw that exposition, and it was like right at the end of like seeing all the stuff we already knew, I was getting a little bit almost like, oh, am I really enjoying this? But then the good stuff kicked in and I was really, really excited. But even then, I feel like the moment I was really the most like visibly hyped was the post-credits. And you know, that wasn't part of the movie story itself, and I loved the movie story itself, I really did. But it felt like the moment when it was, you know, actually I screamed and the entire theater screamed along was the post-credits. And I don't know what that says about the movie, or more specifically maybe about the way we people consume media and hype culture. But that's really just another conversation entirely that could make its own video. And if you want to watch a video like that in the future by me, make sure to subscribe to the channel and give this a like and keep up with my future videos, because yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. I really did love this movie, and I just kind of wanted to give it my overall like surface level thoughts because it was so freaking good. I wanted to share it all with you. And if you have any thoughts on what I said here or the movie in general, make sure to share it in the comments below. That said, thanks so much for watching and see y'all next time!